We'll start with opening statements, then move into our witnesses. The chair now recognizes himself for an opening statement. It's big government colluding with big banks and big business to spy on everything Americans buy. Big government wants your financial data because it's full of sensitive information about you. The investigation started when an FBI whistleblower, George Hill, came forward and talked to the committee. Mr. Hill was supervisory intelligence analyst. Specifically, it received a list of any customer who made purchases in the Washington, D.C. area January 5th through 7th, 2021. Mr. Bonavolanta corroborated Mr. Hill's testimony when he spoke, and so did Steve Jensen, the FBI's Domestic Terrorism Operations Section Chief. That was actually also overlaid with any firearm purchase at any time. In fact, you can see on the display on the screen here the email that was sent. Prepared to action immediately the following threshold customers confirmed as transacting business in Washington, D.C. between these specific dates. Visiting your kids, maybe visiting your aunt, or maybe just a friend. The FBI wanted to know about every single purchase you made. And if you're a gun owner, look out, you're going to the top of the list. Never forget, the federal government got this information without any process. A warrant, and frankly, no notification. The bank didn't tell the customer that we're handing this information over to the FBI. Now, these FBI agents, Mr. Hill, Mr. Bonavolanta, Mr. Jensen, they all said this was wrong and in fact sent the information back to FBI headquarters in D.C. Then, we've learned that the financial surveillance was broader and there was actually a specific objective. Profile isn't based on criminal conduct, it's based on political beliefs, and if you got the wrong political beliefs, well, you're potentially a domestic violent extremist.
Jim Jordan has made a disclosure that has sparked unrest among U.S. residents. Jim Jordan revealed during the House weaponization of the federal government committee that the government is tracking every step made by every American citizen and spies on them. The government already knows about everything, from seeing your kids to purchasing guns, and they give the FBI this information. Americans now feel insecure as a result of this.
Robert Hur was appointed special counsel on January 12th, 2023. Did Joe Biden unlawfully retain classified information? The answer, yes, he did. Our investigation uncovered evidence that President Biden willfully retained and disclosed classified materials after his vice presidency. Mr. Biden willfully retained marked classified documents about Afghanistan and handwritten notes in his notebooks, which he stored in unsecure places. Mr. Hur made these determinations after interviewing 147 witnesses. He examined 7 million documents, toll records, and other materials from both classified and unclassified sources. Joe Biden not only kept information he wasn't allowed to keep, and he not only failed to secure that information properly, shared that information with his ghostwriter. And remember, this is information that only individuals with a security clearance are supposed to see. That it's the kind of information that, quote, risk serious damage to America's national security. Mr. Hur's report, Joe Biden said he took his notebooks with him after his vice presidency because, quote, they're mine. Never mind the fact that he had never been president when he took this information, but what comes through is Joe Biden felt he was entitled. You can almost hear it. Mr. Biden would likely present himself to a jury, as he did in our interview of him, a forgetful old man who Mr. Hur said did not remember when he was vice president, forgetting on the first day of the interview when his term ended. Mr. Hur produced a 345-page report. But in the end, it boils down to a few key facts.
Additionally, Jim Jordan perused a report authored by Robert Hur concerning Joe Biden's acquisition of classified information that is legally confidential and his dissemination of that information to individuals who shouldn't have access to it. Jordan went on to read the study, which said unequivocally that Biden's openly stored information might jeopardize U.S. national security. How did Biden get a hold of this type of information? Is the question that many who attended this hearing were wondering.
Mr. Hur, we think it's important that you be able to respond to President Biden's response to your report. of President Biden's press conference after your report was released? Because there's things in this press conference that the President of the United States says that are directly contradicted by what you found in your report.
Say a few things before I take your questions. As you know, the special counsel released his findings today.
One of the reasons you were not charged is because, in his description, you are a well-meaning elderly man.
I'm well-meaning, and I'm an elderly man, and I know what the hell I'm doing. I've been president, and I put this country back on its feet.
Can you continue as president?
My memory is so bad, I let you speak. That's
your memory has gotten worse, Mr. President?
My memory is not good. My memory is fine. None of you thought I could pass any of the things I got passed. How'd that happen? You know, I guess I just forgot what was going on.
You take responsibility for at least being careless with classified material.
I take responsibility for not having seen exactly what my staff was doing. Things that appeared in my garage, things that came out of my home, things that were moved not by me, but my staff.
When you were asked about your age, you would respond with the words, "Watch me." Many American people have been watching, and they have expressed concerns about your age.
That is your judgment. That is your judgment.
In December, you told me that you believe there are many other Democrats who could defeat Donald Trump. So why does it have to be you now? Why?
Not share classified information. I did not share it.
With your ghostwriter?
With my ghostwriter, I did not. Guarantee you did not.
But the special counsel said in the report that
they did not say that.
Jim Jordan also presented a video of Biden refuting allegations made against him about sharing and retaining private information during the hearing. Upon being questioned by media representatives about his age, memory impairment, and recklessness, Biden appeared to become combative. In answer to these inquiries, Biden places all the responsibility on his employees.
Director, were you guessing or lying? Secret Service spokesman Anthony Guglielmi said, quote, "The assertion that a member of the former president's security team requested additional security resources." The next day, Secretary Mayorkas said, "That is an unequivocally false assertion. We had not received any requests." 5 days later, the Washington Post said this: "Top officials repeatedly rejected requests from Donald Trump's security detail for more personnel." Mr. Guglielmi acknowledged that the Secret Service had turned down some requests for additional federal security assets for Mr. Trump's detail. Both statements can't be true. Were you guessing or lying when you said you didn't turn down requests from President Trump's detail?
Neither, sir, and I appreciate the question.
Well, what were you doing? Because those statements don't jive.
For the event in Butler, there were no requests that were denied. As far as requests,
Well, maybe they got tired of asking.
I think that it is important to distinguish between what some people may view as a denial of an asset or a request.
Well, is Mr. Guglielmi your spokesperson?
A denial of a request does not equal a vulnerability.
Well, tell me what it is.
There are a number of ways that threats and risks can be mitigated.
Tell the committee which it was. They asked for additional help in some form or another. You told them no. How many times did you tell them no, and what did you tell them no to?
I cannot speak to specific incidents, but I can tell you in general terms, the Secret Service is judicious with their resources. Without having all of the details in front of me, sir, what I can tell you is that there are times—
You didn't get briefed on how many times you turned down the Trump detail?
Here was not where Jim Jordan ended. When it came to the requests that Trump's management made of the Secret Service to provide him with additional security, Jim Jordan did not hold back while challenging the director of the agency at the hearing on the attempted assassination on Trump. Moreover, when Director Cheadle of the Secret Service was directly asked by Jim Jordan if they were guessing or lying, she shaped the replies by claiming she did not have the information with her.
Director, let me go back to where Mr. Bishop was. Tell me about the drone. You act like you wanted to fill us in on that. Fill us in.
So we have recovered a drone that the shooter appears to have used. It's being exploited and analyzed by the FBI lab. At the time of the shooting, the drone was in his vehicle with the controller.
Go ahead.
So in addition, it appears that around 3:50 p.m., 4 o'clock in that window on the day of the shooting.
2 hours.
About 11 minutes. I want to be clear, but when I say the area, not over the stage and that part of the area itself, but I would say about 200 yards, give or take, away, that he was live streaming, viewing the footage from that. Again, about 11 minutes in around the 3:50, 4 o'clock p.m. range.
2 hours before, he's flying a drone in the vicinity of the route.
About 200 yards away, yes. We've recovered 3 devices, 2 in his vehicle and 1 back in his residence.
Your experts would call sophisticated operations, or this,
I
don't know. That's what I've been told by people who have some understanding of this area.
Yeah, but they did have the ability to be detonated remotely. And so to that point, in addition to the 2 devices that we recovered out of his vehicle, on the shooter himself, when he was killed by law enforcement, he had at a moment, it looks like, because of the on-off position on the receivers, that if he had tried to detonate those devices from the roof, it would not have worked.
Okay. But tell us what you can about the encrypted platforms we've heard about.
One of the things that we're drilling into hard with the shooter, in an effort to try to learn more about his state of mind, his motive, his ideology, his context, everything else. And one of the things we've learned in finally getting into his phone, which was also a significant technical challenge. In addition, once we got on the phone, it turned out he was using some encrypted messaging application.
And again, the same, pretty sophisticated, or is this is the kind of the norm you see with folks like, similar situation? How would you describe
on this subject, I would say this has unfortunately now become very commonplace.
After that, Jordan begins questioning FBI Director Wray, whose responses will surprise you. Jordan sarcastically mocks Wray by inquiring as to whether the investigative details he provided were as complex as claimed. In response to Wray's comments, some individuals are laughing while others are frustrated, claiming that they have more knowledge about the shooting than the FBI director.
I appreciate the gentleman yielding. Director, I guess I'm not clear exactly where you said there were 8 shell casings on the roof, so 8 bullets were fired, seriously injured, and then the one that hit President Trump. Does that account for, were some of these individuals hit multiple times? Where did all 8 bullets go?
As I said, I think with respect to former President Trump, there's some question about whether or not it's a bullet or shrapnel that that hit his ear. That bullet, in addition to causing the grazing, could have also landed somewhere else. But I believe we've accounted for all of the shots in the cartridges. So
The very first one was the one that hit the president. Is that the very first shot, or is that not accurate? Is there any chance it seems to me that this bad guy, this shooter, was focused on President Trump. Do you have any indications thus far in your investigation that in addition to going after and trying to assassinate the former president, he was also looking to do a lot more damage to other individuals?
That's a hard question to answer. What I would say is I agree with you. Is what we've seen so far, the limited information that has been relevant and interesting about his preparatory activity does seem to be that he had settled on former President Trump as a target. In addition to the 50 rounds, of course, you have the issue of these explosive devices.
Right.
And so what else he may have had in mind? On one hand, you have these explosive devices, including the one still back in his home that wasn't in quite the same stage as the one in the vehicle. He clearly had those explosive devices for some reason. And so we're trying to figure that out. As I've said before, sometimes in these kind of situations, you find like a manifesto or something like that.
When Jim Jordan asks Wray where the 8 bullets went, even the amateur can see how perplexed he is. In response, Wray said he couldn't tell because he didn't have the information in front of him. The FBI's credibility is coming under scrutiny in light of the director's responses.
Look, they're all pointing.
The Atlantic, maybe the Pacific.
Yeah, someone's on top of the roof. Look. Okay, see him? He's laying down. You see him?
Yeah, he's laying down.
And still I'm here with you fighting like hell to get a sense, because if we do, we're going to make America better than ever before. We're going to make it.
Yeah, look. There he is.
Easy, because we have millions and millions of people. Criminals. We have criminals.
He's on the roof. He's right
dealers. We have people that
right
just
here,
not be here.
right on the roof.
It's much tougher than it happens.
You went right on the roof, big guy.
Up here.
Later on, a citizen who witnessed Trump's event also shared footage. A man can be seen clearly in the video lying on his stomach on a roof. People are also questioning how the police missed him when several bystanders saw him there.